Give me 1 second. Okay. Okay, let me get my notes. Okay, so hey y'all, happy Thursday. I missed last week, but we back with another banger today. So today I'm going to be talking about when God gives you the green light to go. Some people move too early. Some people move too late. Some people don't move at all. And regardless of the situation, moving without divine instruction is going to come with a cost. So this message today is about divine timing, obedience, having discernment, and knowing when to go, and also knowing the proper thing to be doing, because a lot of people get ambition confused with the assignment. Just because you got the drive, you think something is a good idea, does not necessarily mean that's what God called you to do. Just because you can does not mean you're called. So that's what I'll be talking about today. So the first point, we're going to start with moving too soon. When you move too soon, just go ahead and prepare yourself to be dealing with a mess, because you're ahead of grace. God gives you grace. So when you're ahead of God, it might feel like, you getting results and, it's working out at first until that weight starts to hit it, that spiritual weight starts to hit it. And then you'll realize that you're moving with no type of foundation, no type of blueprint. So understand that you can be passionate, you can be ready, and you can still be out of alignment. What moving too soon looks like. It looks like starting the business before you have a solid foundation, before you have a blueprint. That means jumping into a relationship without healing or confirming the alignment, being equally yoked. Also, that looks like speaking or showing up before being spiritually or emotionally ready. And I'm going to talk about that specifically right now. So a lot of people, just because it's trending, I guess, think that they have so much to say. It's so many people making podcasts. It's so many people, making speaking videos. And if you haven't been prepared to do that, you basically just throwing yourself out in a spotlight that you have not been prepared. So, like I said, you can get the results, but it don't mean it's going to last long. Then you might not get the results that you think. Well, you're not going to get the results that you think you should have simply because you're not prepared. It's like God has to prepare you before he puts you in a position. So like I said, just because you can does not mean you're called to. Yeah, you can do all things through Christ, but if you're not called to them, you can't do it. So that's for that one. Also, what it looks like, it would be leaving a place before God has told you to leave. A lot of people just up and leave stuff, and God has not gave you the green light to do that. So why do people move too soon? People move too soon because of the pressure to keep up. I spoke about this when I was talking about running your race at your own pace. You moving because society got you feeling pressured, or your family, or you looking around at your friends. They got stuff going on, having babies, buying houses, buying cars. You feel pressured to do something. That's why you jumping ahead of God, because you getting caught up in what you see other people doing. Society, like I said, or close friends. Another reason is FOMO, which is the fear of missing out. A lot of y'all be jumping the gun because you scared you're going to miss out on something. Tell you right now, if you got a fear of missing out, it's going to cost you more. It's going to cost you more jumping the gun than it is going to wait. Than it is waiting. So understand, like, you're not going to miss out on nothing unless you just don't move, or if you're moving too early or you're moving too late. As long as you're listening to divine instruction, you're not going to miss out. Also, another reason why people move too soon, comparison. I just talked about that in pressure to keep up. You looking left and you looking right and you seeing all of this stuff on the internet. So that got you comparing yourself, and you feel like you got to go ahead and make the move. And whatever that is, getting married, having kids, buying a new car before you're supposed to, getting a new place. You doing it because you comparing yourself. Also, emotional highs. People move too soon because you want an emotional high. It feels ready. It feels right. You just because it feels right does not mean it's right. And also being impatient with God's process. Because I can tell you firsthand, God takes his time. He takes his time. He gonna strip everything up off of you. That might not take a year. That might take 2 years. Some of y'all are not willing to wait. So like I said before, if you're not willing to wait on God, you're going to get tricked out of your spot. You're going to watch somebody else do what you want to do, get treated the way you want to be treated simply because you couldn't wait and go through your own process. So that's what moving too soon looks like. Now, the consequences of moving too soon is a lack of grace. I talked about this earlier. Like, when you move too soon, you're ahead of grace. So if you're already ahead of God, you don't have no protection. So you lack grace. You stepped out and now you striving to make the things work, to make the business work, to make the relationship work. You're not flowing. When you're in alignment, it flows. You don't have to force anything. You don't have to beg nothing. You don't have to manipulate stuff. So when you move ahead, you're lacking grace. You don't get the grace from God because you moved ahead of him. Misalignment. You get what you want, but the room isn't built for you yet. I talked about that a little bit earlier. You can get the results, but the room isn't built for you. So that means you might get into the room, but you're not going to stay there because you don't have the character development. You don't have no integrity. You don't know how to move. So misalignment is a consequence of moving too soon. Burnout. This is a big one. When you done something that you was not supposed to do, that you didn't get the green light to do, you're going to be burnt out. You're going to be exhausted. You're going to be stressed. That's why you see so many people in this hustle culture mindset. You're grinding. You're grinding and it's killing you. It's killing you mentally. It's killing you emotionally. It might be killing you physically, depending on what you're doing. And it's definitely killing you spiritually. So understand, burnout, you're going to go through that because you jumped into something or you tried to build something you weren't ready to sustain. You running 100 miles per hour when you're supposed to be running at 25. Anytime you move before God tells you to, I promise you're going to get burned out. You're not going to be able to sustain the thing. Because, like I always like to say, anything that you get and obtain outside of God's will, you're going to have to stay outside of it to keep it. So, like I said, if you in this hustle culture mindset, you're going to be running 100 miles per hour for years until you come up out of it. So, understand, burnout is one of the main things, consequence to moving too soon. Delay is another one. So what was meant to take one step of obedience now is taking several detours. A lot of people get themselves into stuff and you got to go here. You got to go here. You got to go there. You going through too many things because you didn't wait. You can save yourself some time, unnecessary spiritual warfare, confusion, chaos, depression, anxiety, if you would just wait. Now you getting delayed and going through detours simply from you moving too fast. And the last one I said was unnecessary lessons in warfare. Whenever the spiritual weight has to teach you a lesson, it's going to cost you. And it's not going to be something simple either. Anytime you make that move before God has told you to, with people, places, things, resources, that spiritual weight going to tear you up. So Always keep that in mind when you're ready to do this and you ready to do that. Make sure you're ready for whatever comes with it. Make sure you're ready for the weight that comes with it. So how does it feel? Like I said, you're forcing everything. You drained, you exhausted. You keep praying for peace. You keep asking for strength. Constantly asking God to fix this and that. You wouldn't have had to ask for that if you would have just waited. And a lot of y'all cannot hear God because you already done made up what you want him to say. Or a lot of y'all can't hear him because your environment is too loud. Not literally talking about people screaming and stuff. I'm talking about the things that you do. Your habits. The people that you talk to. The places that you go. Just like I said, habits, your patterns. It's too loud. You can't hear what God's trying to tell you if you not, like, you know, if you ain't got no relationship with him. You drinking, you smoking, you hanging out here, you doing this, you doing that. You waking up at 12, 1 p.m. every single day. You doing this, you doing that. You can't hear him. So, I wrote down a quote. And I said, you don't get grace for the step you took before God said go. And if you force it open, you're going to have to fight to keep it open. I said that earlier. Anything that you obtain outside of his will, you're going to have to stay outside of his will to keep it. Like I said, when God gives you something, he's going to grace you for the assignment. He's going to grace you for the person. So number 3 would be moving too late. When you move too late, you miss what is for you. I always tell y'all this. Stop getting caught up on that quote that says you won't never miss what is for you, because yes, you will. Excuse me. If you're not in position, you will miss what is for you. So moving too late is when hesitation is going to cost you. So what does that look like? That means you're ignoring the confirmation, the red flags, the signs. That means you're waiting until you no longer feel afraid instead of moving while trusting God. A lot of y'all be so stuck in fear, and you'll have this excuse where, you know, I just don't feel ready yet, or I just want it to be like this, or I just want it to be like that. You moving too late. The opportunity gonna be done past you by simply because you still waiting. Also, staying in a job, relationship, or an environment long after God told you to leave. Like I always said, the red flags be there in the beginning. Especially for relationships. Ain't nobody gonna tell me that they don't be there. They be there. And y'all just be blind to the red flags. Y'all think the red flags are green, and then you end up in situations going through a whole bunch of unnecessary stuff because you didn't move when God told you to. One thing about God, I don't care how loud your environment is, you do get signs. You do get signs when something is not for you. You do. So if you choose to ignore them, you can't be mad at the consequences and how your life ends up turning out simply because you ignored them. Also, putting off what he clearly instructed you to start. Now, when God has actually given you instruction to start and you ignore it, you delay yourself. You move too late. Move your feet or you're going to lose your seat. That's a real thing. Again, like I said, overthinking, overpraying, overplanning, and you never executing. Y'all get stuck in, I want to say spiritual paralysis. It's basically that, because it's like fear. So that's why you're doing all this overplanning, all this overthinking, all this overpraying. You doing all that and you still ain't moved. Like, how can you fail, or how can something not go right when you haven't even started? Okay, so why do people move too late? You have a fear of failure. And I would say this is rare because most people don't have a fear of success. People want success. They have a fear of failing. So you'll move too late for the simple fact that you're scared to fail. Like I said, you got to jump before you could hit the ground. How you going to hit the ground if you ain't never jumped? Overthinking. You'll be saying you need more signs when he already gave you the sign. One thing about it, we like to ask God to keep confirming stuff that he already confirmed it. Sometimes he will, and then sometimes he'll get to that point where he's not going to tell you nothing. He going to, like, a lot of the times, you're not waiting on God. God is waiting on you. Just imagine thinking you going to continue to wait on God and he done already told you and showed you something. He not going to keep doing it. Again, like I said, waiting for everything to be perfect. Another reason why people move too late, comfort addiction. You comfortable in your comfort zone. You're more loyal to your comfort zone than what God is asking you to do. So you would rather choose what you know is not right for you over what God is trying to give you. That's basically saying that you don't want God's best. You okay with settling for scraps or settling for below the standard. You stuck in your comfort zone. Your comfort zone is more, I guess it's more powerful, or it means more to you than stepping out on faith. Also, validation is another reason why people move too late. You don't want to get seen doing certain stuff. I wonder what they're going to say. Who cares about what they say? You can go get what God has for you, or you going to be worried about what A, B, C, and D saying about you and missing out because you're worried about what they're saying. Like I said, God's green light, it's not going to always come with full clarity, but it's going to come with confirmation, and you don't have to keep asking him for signs for the same thing over and over. If God showed you once, or if he told you, that's exactly what he meant. Stop trying to make it seem like it's not that. A lot of y'all do that too. Like, oh, it's not that. It's exactly what it is. I always tell people, like, when people say it is what it is, that's exactly what that means. It is what it is. You don't have to keep asking for another confirmation. You don't. And if you keep doing that, you're going to miss out. You're going to miss your spot. You're going to miss the opportunity. So that goes into what it causes. It causes you to miss windows. Like I just said, you're going to miss that person. And when I say miss that person, that's the person that God has assigned for you. Or your destiny helpers, people that God got assigned to help you with whatever he done called you to do. You can miss out on that from simply moving too late. It also causes stagnant growth. What was supposed to be a season is now a cycle. I'm going to make another video explaining seasons versus cycles, but when I'm talking about moving too late and it causing stagnant growth in a season, it's turned into a cycle. Your cycle becomes self-induced. God will have you in seasons, but if you're not moving or not moving, if you don't know how to maneuver through the season, you're not learning your lesson, you're not getting the character development that you need, it's going to turn into a cycle. I know people who are in cycles, been in cycles for years. People older than me. People my age. You still stuck in a cycle. Because you moved too late. Or you didn't move at all. The next topic that I'm going to talk about is not moving at all. But it still applies. It will turn into a self-induced cycle. Now it's not the season. It's not God. It's not life is life in. It's not none of that. It's you. Unnecessary warfare again. One thing about it, when you move before God tells you to go, you're always going to go through unnecessary warfare. So I'm not really going to spend too much time, because I said this, when you move too early, you still going to be fighting battles that obedience would have got you out of. But again, that's what you're choosing to go through. I can empathize and sympathize with people all day long, but when it comes to moving and getting in alignment with God, some stuff just, it be your fault. That's just all I'm going to say. It be your fault, because you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. You still stuck in areas that God done called you up out of. So every divine instruction has a window of grace. And I made a video about this before. Grace and tolerance is not the same thing. A lot of y'all giving something grace Y'all get it confused with tolerance. A lot of y'all be tolerating certain things and calling it grace. Grace has a time limit on it. So, like I said, every divine instruction has a window of grace. When it closes the route to the destination still may exist, but it might be longer or harder. So let's say you done missed your window for whatever it is. When you try to get in position, it's going to take you longer than it would. And then it's going to be harder because you missed your spot. It's just like if you miss a flight, sometimes they have flights that'll leave right away, but most of the time you got to wait. So it's the same thing. Like, you're going to be waiting and you're going to go through a lot more stuff that you would have went through had you been in position. Also, when you move too late, people that are connected to your purpose miss out. I said this in my last live. The thing that you're called to do is not for you. It's not for you to have success. It's not for you to travel the world. It's not for none of that. It's for somebody else. So when you move too late, the people who are connected to your purpose miss out. That's like if I'm not getting up here doing these lives and giving this wisdom that God has already instilled in me for the last 5 years. People who are directly connected to my purpose miss out. It's not about you. A biblical example of that will be the Israelites. The Israelites moved too late. An 11-day trip took them 40 years for being disobedient. Delayed disobedience is still disobedience. And y'all can go look on my page. I got a video talking about that. And I asked y'all, do you want to get there in 11 days or do you want to get there in 40 years? It might not be literal, but it's the same thing. When you don't do what God is calling you to do, it's going to take you longer than it would have. So, a quote I wrote down is, you're not stuck, you're not scared, and fear will have you forfeiting things already promised to you. That fear is going to keep you from getting the thing that you're supposed to have. Not doing what God has called you to do, whether it's to leave the job, leave the relationship, start the business, start this, do this, or do that. It's going to cause you to miss out. And there's a difference between building with momentum and building under pressure. You should be building with momentum with God. You shouldn't be building under pressure. And when I say under pressure, I mean like doing it on your own understanding. I did that before. And I can tell you right now, it is stressful. It is, because you're building without a blueprint. You building without God giving you divine instruction on how to go, how to move. So just keep that in mind. So number 3. Number 3 would be not moving at all. So obedience requires motion. Okay? And I'm talking about motion as in moving. I'm going to talk about how disobedience can look like stillness. So when you move too early or too late, like I spoke on, not moving at all is probably one of the worst places to be at. Like I said, you're going to go through the motions moving too early and moving too late. But when you don't move at all, baby, God bless you. Because that means you never leave. You never leave the place. You never leave the job. God already told you to exit, and you stay planted in an expired season. And like I said, everything that happens to you from that point on is your fault. It's nobody else's. It's yours. The season has expired and you're still stuck. And that's because you choose to be stuck. So yeah, like I said, and moving too late, you start living beneath the standard. You start living under purpose, provision, and power that he intended to give you. You don't have none of that because you didn't move. You don't have none of that. Like, it's basically like you living, I ain't gonna say what I was gonna say. And like, it goes back to, it's not about confusion. It's not about timing. I said this and moving too late. It's not God guiding. It's not life-lifing. It's you. It's your decisions. It's your fault. It's just because you're completely refusing to see or to accept or to move or to do whatever it is that God has been calling you to do, whatever he's been showing you, whatever he's been telling you. You just refuse. You refuse. So it's going to keep you stuck. It's going to keep you stuck in an expired season. Nobody's coming to save you. It's going to be up to you to get yourself up out of that. So what does it look like when you don't move? That looks like clinging to what's familiar. And you're clinging to what's familiar, like I talked about with the comfort zone. Moving too late and not moving at all have similarities. So same thing, you stuck in a comfort zone and it's not fruitful. You're not bearing no type of fruit. Whether you think it's fruit, it's not, because you're still going through the same cycle. You can get the same type of results. You can keep going through the same stuff that you're going through. It don't matter how you dress it up, how you try to put it out to the internet, how you try to put it out to other people. It's not fruitful. When it comes to like a dream, or I'll say a job or stuff, you'll constantly keep talking about, but you're not making no moves. So that's what it looks like. That's what I wrote. You constantly dream, journal, and talk about it, but you never take a single step. Also, when you don't move at all, you can basically say that you have made peace with survival. So you're going to live your life on a survival instinct. Everything that you do is going to be in survival mode. It is not going to be you thriving. It's not going to be you flowing through things. It's going to literally be you surviving. Also, like I said, you've accepted that this is just how it is. It's some people who'll be like, oh, well, this is just how it is, or this is just how I am. And unfortunately, like, to me, that's an excuse. Like, but if that's what you like, then that's what you like. If that's just how it is to you, then I honestly don't know what to tell you. If you don't want God's best, you're always going to settle for less. I like that. If you don't want God's best, you're always going to settle for less. It's just simple as that. God gives his best. It's going to take time. You're going to be broke down. You're going to be crushed. It could take 5 years. A lot of successful people, they don't just blow up overnight. Some people do, but sometimes I be feeling like that's luck. Other people, you got to be broke down. You got to become the person that can even handle what you are being called to do. You don't just wake up the next day and just be this type of person that can handle everything that God got for you. Don't work like that. So why don't people move at all? Is the same thing. Fear. People stuck in fear. You're comfortable. I will say comfortability turns into a prison. A lot of y'all are free, but a lot of y'all are stuck in prison. Rather that is in the relationship you in, the marriage you in, the job you at, what you out here doing and calling it and saying that God done told you to do it, you stuck in a prison. And until you get some divine instruction and you got some discernment, you're going to be stuck in a prison. So, like I said, it's comfort addiction. Disobedience, you'll be disguised in safety. You're not moving until you feel 100% ready, or you don't think it's this, or blah, blah, blah. You'll just be hiding behind, I'm just praying on it. I hear that one a lot. Oh, I'm just praying on it. I'm just gonna ask God for it. Okay, that's gonna keep you stuck. You're not gonna move at all because you're simply, oh, I'm just praying on it. I will say, wisdom is, I wrote this down, wisdom is necessary, but if you always preparing, always over praying and not moving, that's just fear disguised. You just have disguised fear, because all you doing is asking for something and then not moving. Like God done already showed you, like I said, and showed you 1,000 times, and you still stuck. So another one would be spiritual numbness. So spiritual numbness is a big one. You ignored the red flag so much you don't even feel them. You don't even see them. You done completely ignored it. You don't see it. You don't feel it. Spiritual numbness is what not moving at all looks like. You'll have that victim mindset. A lot of people have this. Y'all say life isn't fair, or you feel stuck, or life isn't moving it the way that you think it should be, simply because you haven't moved. And we can go back. If you have moved too early or moved too late, you still can be put in situations where you might feel stuck because you done already went ahead, or you moved too late, or you didn't move at all. And then the biggest one, you doubt God's character. You doubt that God can give you his best. You doubt that God can really give you what you want to have. Because deep down, everybody has a desire to be better, or to get treated a certain way, or to have a type of lifestyle or something. Everybody deep down has that desire. But a lot of y'all doubt God's character. But how could you doubt the one who created you? Like I said, we was naturally born into sin. Your whole purpose in this life is to get back to God and get in alignment for what he already had for you. A lot of people don't do that, so you end up settling for the life based off you naturally being born into that sin, based off you being born into that family. You settle for God's best because you don't get in alignment. So you start to doubt his process and what he can give you. So how does that feel when you haven't moved at all? You keep making excuses. So I hate when people make excuses. I hate it. I hate it. Don't make excuses, make adjustments. If you want to be better, you're going to make the adjustment. You're not going to keep making excuses. Excuses are not going to get you nowhere. Like I said, you crave change. Like I said, everybody has that desire, but you choosing to stay comfortable. Another one would be, ooh, this is a good one. So how does it feel when you haven't moved at all? You feel convicted when you see other people living and walking boldly in purpose and what you know you're supposed to be doing or living a life more than what you living. You feel convicted. That's where that envy and that jealousy comes from. You get convicted. You get convicted from seeing somebody else live a life that you want to live. But you don't have the character. You don't have the integrity. You don't want to move. So how could you feel some type of way about somebody else getting the life that they deserve when you don't do anything to better yourself? You won't even listen to God. And if you don't listen to God, then can't nobody tell you nothing. Don't make sense. When God says go, you go. You don't go a day late, and you don't go before him. Because when you, like I said, when you don't move, or you move too late, or you move too early, it has consequences. Let me see. Okay, so this is a good one. So the next point would be confusing a good move with a God move. A lot of people struggle with this. You think what you're doing or who you with is good, but it's not God. In case y'all didn't know, the enemy can give you stuff too. The enemy can open doors too. So how do you know it's from God if you don't got no discernment? Every opportunity in every person is not divine. It's not a divine assignment. It's not a green light. And just because you can, like I said in the beginning, does not mean you're called. Please understand that. Just because you can get up here and talk about something, just because you can sell hair, just because you can make clothes, does not mean you're called to do that. You need to have asked God for confirmation before you go jump and do something just because you can. So we're gonna talk about what a God move is versus a good move. God move aligns with purpose, not just your preference. Like I just said, just because you can don't mean you called. And anytime you have something that God gives you, it's going to be purposeful. It's not going to be for your benefit. Like I said, excuse me. Even you being called to be with a person, it's not because y'all just fell in love. If God gave it to you, it's for a purpose. It's to glorify God. Anything that you do, anything that God gives you, is to glorify his name. If you do stuff and it does not glorify God, and I'm not saying, oh, you just saying, maybe you might hear this video and then you might say, oh, God gave me this. That's not the same thing. Because if God wasn't in it from the beginning, he's not going to be in it. Like I said, God moves aligns with purpose. A good move is rooted in logic. It's driven by opportunity. It's motivated by your own timing. And it is based on what makes sense to you. And also, it relies on control. A God move, 9 times out of 10, is not going to make sense. Trust me. A lot of the stuff that he got you doing, who he done called you to be with in this world, it's not going to make sense in the beginning. That's how you'll always know when God is in something and he has gave it to you, because it's not going to make sense. Also, you have no control over it. You don't have no control over it. It's surrender. 2 totally different things. If you can control everything that you got going on, it's good. It's not a God move. God move, you don't have no control. You're not leaning on your own understanding. That's in the Bible for a reason. Do not lean on your own understanding. Because when you lean on your own understanding, it start getting you in stuff that like you're not supposed to be in. You start going through stuff that you didn't have to go through. God move is rooted in faith, led by obedience, and aligned by God's timing. Like I said, a good move is on your timing. You controlling everything. 2 totally different things. Understand that, just if I could compare it to a metaphor, all doors can look the same on the outside, right? Until you open that door and you walk through it. Once you walk through certain doors that look good, you start to really find out what's behind that door. That's why you have to be careful about having a good move versus a God move, because you can walk through a door and get yourself in something that you're not supposed to be in. You would have never even thought you would have never even thought that you would have ended up in some of the stuff or be going through the stuff that you're going through. But on the outside, externally, it looked good. Everything that looks good and sounds good is not good for you. Please understand that. If it goes against your integrity, if it goes against your values, principles, and you have to compromise anything on it, you have to compromise your peace, understand it's not a God move and it's not from God. The biggest one, if you compromise in peace, if you ain't got no peace in it, it's not from God. Simple. God is not the author of confusion. He's not the author of chaos. He's not the author of stress. He's the king and the prince of peace. So if you're going through all of those things that I just named, it's not from God. God is not in it. Questions you can ask yourself. Did God send it or did you chase it? I just said it. Is there peace with it or is it pressure? If you feel pressured, God is not in it. It's not a God move. What fruit has the decision produced so far? What kind of fruit are you bearing? If you don't understand what I mean when I say fruit, go read your Bible. Does it glorify God or does it just validate you? And it validates the things that you want. And a big one. Is it in alignment with the season you in? And I'll talk about this pertaining to opportunities and starting stuff. Are you in the season to be starting stuff? If you don't know what season you are in, you need to have discernment. If you don't know what discernment is, baby, we gonna get you there. But like I said, a lot of y'all just be doing stuff because it's cool, wanting to be with people because they look good, sound good, got this, got that. You don't got no discernment. None. That is dangerous. That is dangerous. To not know how to move in life and move with people and opportunities is dangerous. But I'll talk about this another time. I'll talk about discernment in another live. I said this at the beginning. It's a quote. The enemy can bless you too, but his blessings always come with bondage. If you don't know what bondage is basically you being trapped, you being in prison somewhere in your life. A lot of people are stuck in bondage. I don't care what kind of car you drive. I don't care what kind of job you have. I don't care what kind of money you have. If you don't live a life in alignment and consecrated to God, you in bondage somewhere. But again, that's a topic for another time. So I got about 2 more key points. Like I said, this was 7 pages of notes. So this next point will be ambition versus assignment. So a lot of people, like I said, get ambition confused with assignment. Ambition is driven by self, is driven by ego, is driven by having an image. What else did I write down? Your desire for recognition, you chasing titles, platforms, and personal success. That's ambition. So like I said, you doing everything to validate you. Assignment is directed by God. It's what God wants you to do in this lifetime. It's directed by purpose, obedience, and divine alignment. It leads to, it leads to an impact, transformation, and legacy. Ambition don't lead to that. So basically look at it as ambition is building your name. Assignment is glorifying God's name. If I could just do it in simple terms, ambition is self. You got self-made and you got God-made. Ambition, self-made, God-made, assignment. Ambition pushes you. Assignment flows. Ambition, you seeking the spotlight. Assignment is seeking alignment. When you in alignment with your assignment, and depending on whatever you're doing, if you're in alignment, you can get the spotlight anyway. Some of y'all already be chasing the spotlight off rip because you want to be seen a certain way. Whole time you doing it for the wrong reasons, it's not going to last long. Ambition, you be asking, like I just said, how can you be seen? Assignment, you're asking God, where is it and how do you want me to serve? Because like I said, when you are in alignment and God has given you the thing that you're supposed to do in life is to serve somebody else. If you ambition, you're not thinking about serving nobody else. You're thinking about serving you. You're thinking about getting the biggest bag, the flyest car, biggest house, all this money. Tell me I'm lying. Ambition gonna have you moving ahead of God. Point blank, period. Because your foundation isn't God. Your foundation is yourself. So you're gonna be way ahead of him. You're gonna be thinking the things that you get from the results that you get from ambition, that God gave it to you and he didn't. The enemy probably gave it to you because he got tricked out your spot. Ambition is very impulsive, meaning you move off emotion. I'm gonna tell you this right now. This don't go just for relationships. If you do not know how to control your emotions, you're going to get tricked out of your spot. Your emotions gonna lead you into everything that you do because you're emotion-led, you're not spirit-led. Assignment is spirit-led. Ambition, you moving off emotions. This is what I said. Ambition can give you results, but you're going to always be lacking somewhere. I don't care how it looks to the outside. A lot of people be lacking, be suffering, be spiritually, emotionally, mentally dead. But on the outside, they look all good. Ambition, you going to get the results, but you're going to be lacking, and it's not going to last long. And like I said, you're going to be stuck in a cycle. Anything you got outside of God's will, you got to stay out of it to keep it. That's facts. So yeah, you might get the opportunity, but you don't have the maturity. You might get the platform, but you don't have the preparation. You might get the attention, but you don't have the integrity. So why would you want to have those things and you don't have the character development to match it? It doesn't make sense. It's not going to last long. You know how they say people have a, a quick fast to the bottom? That's basically what that is. When you on assignment from God, you are rooted in him. You don't have to rush anything. You don't have to compete. You don't have to beg. You don't have to manipulate. You don't have to do none of that stuff. It grows slow and strong, and it may not be glamorous at first. I'm going to tell you that now. But you'll keep showing up when nobody's clapping for you. When people are doing stuff for ambition, they looking for validation. Most people you see on the internet follows the crowd. It's crowded at the bottom. That's why you got the 1% and you got the 99. Everybody at the bottom. You want to be seen. You want to get recognition for everything. You won't even do what you called to do because won't nobody be clapping for you. And a lot of the times when God gives you something, ain't nobody going to be clapping for you in the beginning, except for your close friends. So if you can't sit in isolation for however long got you in isolation, you ain't going to never get what God wants you to have. You ain't going to never get his best. Because, like I said, you want validation. When people are on that ambition type wave, they very performative. When you got the eyes to see and ears to hear, you can look at the stuff that people post, very performative. Like I said, doing it for an image, want some clout, want this, want that, very performative. When you on assignment, you're not performing, you authentic. And I'm going to make a whole live talking about authenticity because a lot of people are not authentic. I don't care what you see on the internet, a lot of people are not authentic. You care about your image too much. What did I say? When you're rooted, your identity isn't the outcome. Which is what I was just saying with ambition. Your whole identity is the outcome. When you with God, the outcome is not your identity. Your pace is set by grace, not by grind. That's why you got hustle culture and you got kingdom assignments. And to each his own, but I would not want to live my life continuous hustling. Like that hustling stuff was cute back then. But to continue doing stuff over and over and over and over and over, the goal is to work smarter, not harder. When God is not rooted in it, you gonna work harder. You can work harder. If that means you gotta work 12 and 16-hour shifts, that's what you're gonna be doing. Because you're not in alignment. But if that's what you want to do and that's what you like to do and you glorify hustle culture, then so be it. When you in a kingdom assignment, you gonna grow deep within before you grow wide. And I said this before, if you're going to go through those motions of that character development before God puts you on that stage. Because anytime God give you something, you're going to already have to go through that process, but you're going to be able to maintain it and keep it. People who are not anchored and consecrated with God, they don't keep the stuff. It doesn't last long. Even if you're in a relationship or marriage, it's not healthy. It's not fruitful. It's the opposite. So always keep that in mind. Growth, the main growth should be internally, not externally. But when you caught up in the world and you caught up in other stuff, you're going to be glorifying the external. You're going to be glorifying what it looks like on the outside instead of what you're supposed to be feeling in the inside. And so I wrote this down. Ambition without assignment will take you places your character can't sustain you. But assignment will keep you rooted where your name is being built. It's basically like I said in the beginning. You can get in a room, but your character not going to keep you in a room. And that sucks. Like, imagine getting an opportunity and then you get in the room, you don't know how to move because you don't got the character development that you need, and then you lose the opportunity because you weren't prepared. You weren't ready. So, ambition without assignment means you're moving, you just wasn't sent. And that's what hustle culture is. Like, y'all be moving at 100 miles per hour. I'm trying to tell you, baby. I'm so glad I'm not in it. Like, y'all be moving, but God didn't send you. So you just, you the little guinea pig just running. You ain't got no type of foundation. You ain't got no type of divine instruction. Like, that's just a terrible way to live. So my last key point will be, how do you know when God is saying go? Like, how do you know that? So I wrote down, clarity comes from closeness and stillness and quietness. Just because you're excited to do it does not mean God confirmed it. Don't move off vibes, move off verification. So how do you recognize the green light? For one, you're going to feel at peace. You're not going to feel pressured. I told y'all this before. Peace and pressure are two of the biggest signs when you're not in alignment. And even if you don't feel pressured in the beginning, the spiritual weight is still going to hit you. And you're going to be going through unnecessary stuff, unnecessary warfare, like I said. So how do you recognize that God is saying it? Peace. It may still be risky, but you will have a settled confidence. A lot of the stuff that I have had to go through since God has pivoted me, it may be risky, but I be grounded. It's almost like the anchor, like with boats, when you put that anchor in the ground, the current can sway you. Like, you could feel like this, but you're not coming up out of it. When God has not told you to go, you don't have no anchor in the ground. You're just moving. You're just going. Like I said before, like, you're just going. Also, God will give you repeated confirmations in different ways. So wait for the green light. Yes, please. What I say, you'll get repeated confirmations in different ways. So you'll have like a recurring word or a scripture or a phrase that'll just keep showing up. So you can have a message, a conversation, or a moment that speaks directly to what you've been praying about. And they're unforced. You'll have unforced signs. It's not like you looking and you forcing, like you see something and you be like, oh, that was for me. No, you're going to know when it's for you. Trust me. Also, how you know when God is telling you to go? The old season starts to feel like disobedience. When you are in something that God has expired, you gonna feel tension. It's gonna be unsettling. I'm gonna tell you, like, when God called me out of nursing, I knew it was time to go, for the simple fact it was like a dreading. It was like this dreading type of feeling. Never had that before. And it just kept getting louder and louder and louder and louder. That is how you know when God is telling you to move from something. When God tells you to move, you do it scared or not. If you don't, it's going to keep getting like this. It's going to keep getting louder. So if your signs got to keep getting red, they're going to keep getting red. It's going to keep getting loud. It's going to keep getting bad until you move. Again, the old season starts to feel like disobedience. We talked about disobedience. Moving too soon, moving too early, moving too soon and too early. Same thing. Moving too late and not moving at all. That's disobedience. I just said this, so your spirit is stirred. What did I say? Your spirit is stirred, not just your emotions. God will often stir your spirit before he moves your feet. So it'll be a strong pull. Like I said, it'll be a strong pull towards something when God is in it, when God is telling you to go. It's always a tugging on the spirit. You're always going to feel that. Good evening. Hey. Another one, God may speak to you directly through people. God will give people, and sometimes this is rather, these people are, I would say, consecrated with God. God will have somebody say something to you specifically in only a way that you knew that that was God. So God will speak directly through people. And make sure you're talking to people who know God for real. Because a lot of people believe in God, but a lot of people don't embody him. Two totally different things. And also talk to people who are not afraid to tell you the truth. Talk to people who live an authentic life. Talk to people who are real. Stop talking to people who are fake, performative, following the crowd and just lost. Talk to some real people. Also, when you know when God is saying go and when you have the green light, you're not driven by a fear of FOMO. You're not driven by the fear of missing out. You'll know if it's in God's, you'll know that if it's in God's will for you, that it won't pass you by. Especially if you're in alignment with him. You'll know that. You're not chasing, that's a big one. You're not chasing nothing. You're not chasing no man. You're not chasing no girl. You're not chasing no opportunity. You're not chasing the resources. You're not chasing nothing. It's going to come to you. Like I said this earlier, you don't have to force nothing. You don't have to manipulate it. You don't have to do none of that. The doors will open for you and the provision will show up at the right time. How do you know God's voice versus the enemy? God's voice, peace, order, alignment, provision. His voice builds faith. The enemy, confusion, anxiety, depression, exhaustion, being burnt out, being stressed to death, being fearful. That's the difference between knowing when God is saying go and when the enemy got you going. Also, the enemy voice brings urgency. You just got to do it. It feel right. You got to do it. If you feel like that with anything that you are in or that you have started, God is not in it. And you might want to go back and double check if he asked you to do that thing that you're doing. Another voice of the enemy is flattery. I talked about this earlier. People are performative, doing stuff for image, recognition, validation. That's not from God. If it pulls you out of alignment with your values, God didn't send it. If it's costing you your peace, you already know God didn't send it. God's green light will come with grace. It's not going to come with the grind. I done already talked about that. So, if you want to be able to hear God, you got to get in the secret place. The secret place is wherever it is in your house. I don't know, it might be in your car. I don't know, you might go to the park or something. I don't know. Get in that secret place. You're going to be able to hear him. Like I said, he talks when it's still, when it's quiet. And he speaks in a subtle voice sometimes. You will miss it if your environment is too loud. And I already told y'all what I mean when I say loud. Fast. I'm going to make a whole live about fasting because a lot of people get fasting confused with just food, just trying to get your body right. That is not spiritual fasting. So if you want to hear God, especially if, let's say, if you asked him for something, you want confirmation or something, let's say, especially if he hasn't given it to you, sometimes you have to fast to get an answer. And I'm going to just say this now. Sometimes when you fast, he might not give you the answer right there on your fast. You might get it a couple of days later. You might get it a week later. You might get it 2 weeks. You might get it a month later. But fasting is a part of being in alignment with God. If you do not fast spiritually, praying is not enough. It's not enough. You got to get in that secret place. You got to get there in here. Because sometimes when you on a fast, God will give you something that you will not be able to get just roaming around. So fast if you need to. Learn to move at the pace of grace and not the pressure of society. Like I just said, do not move at the pace of grinding. Do not be stuck in hustle culture. And so to wrap this all up, because this was a long live. This was an hour live, but I had so many notes. Obedience isn't just about doing. It's about timing. Divine timing is a real thing, and you need to make sure that you are in God's timing. You don't have to understand the whole math. You just need to trust the direction. Stop trying to drive the car. Stop trying to fly the plane. Let God do what he gonna do. If you got a hard time sitting back and letting God lead you in this life, you're gonna have a hard time. You're gonna have a hard time. When he says go, go. Don't wait, and don't just not move. But wait for him to tell you to go. Wait for him to give you the confirmation. Wait for his voice and his instruction. Because if you do it without listening to him, like I said, you're going to jump ahead, you're going to move too late, or you're going to be stuck. And you're going to go through some spiritual warfare. I'm going to tell you that right now. And if it got to get as bad as it's going to get as bad as it's going to get because you were not listening. And don't get me wrong, some of y'all hear God wrong. You might have thought God said that, but he didn't. And that's a dangerous spot to be in too, because we all have been there and we might have heard God wrong before. But make sure you're hearing him right. Because God not going to never put anything on you more than you can bear. But you can put more stuff on you than you can bear. Also, when you don't hear anything at all, stay close enough to hear the next instruction. Because God does that. God funny. God, sometimes he goes silent just to see what you're going to do. And I'm going to tell you this now. When he goes silent, usually that's a test. That's a test to see what you're going to do. And a lot of y'all get tricked up out y'all spot because you can't handle the silence. You can't handle it. You do not know how to move. And if you do not know how to move, you're going to always be on your own time. And you're going to always be leaning on your own understanding. And like I said, you're never going to get the life that God already had destined for you. Not the life that you chosen and you choosing to make it work. That's two totally different things. Obedience. Because even though this word wasn't titled obedience, it's obedience. You go when you have the green light. Obedience protects you at the end of the day. It does. A lot of people will still be here today had they listened. Had they listened to the little voice. Had they listened to maybe God told somebody to tell them something. A lot of people will still be here today if they were obedient. Obedience protects you. It will save you from being around people that you're not supposed to be around. It'll save you from jumping in opportunities that you're not ready for. It's going to save you. This is a good one. The right move at the wrong time is still the wrong move. And I'm going to say it again. The right move at the wrong time is still the wrong move. God doesn't just want you to be moving. He want to move with you. Why do y'all be wanting to do stuff without God being in it? Because just because you say that he in it don't mean he in it. Anybody could post a picture or anything, some success, anything, and say God in it. That don't mean he in it. But why would you want to live your life and the one who created you is not guiding you? I mean, to each his own, but I ain't finna live my life like that. My quote, when God gives you the green light, it's not going to always make sense, but it's going to make progress. And then eventually it's going to make sense. God will give you what you need to know on a need to know basis. So I did have some journal questions for reflection if you journal. So if you journal, you can write down, have you ever moved too soon in the season, and what did it cost you? And that's a good question that you should write down, because that will let you know. That will let you know if God was in the thing that you say he in, or if you heard God the right way. Ask him, have you ever moved too soon in the season? You might be in the season now. And what did it cost you? You'll know if God was ever in something by what it cost you. What's something that you know that you're supposed to do, but you delayed or avoided? Write that question down. Because some of y'all need to ask yourself, why you still ain't left? Why are you still there? Why are you still there? And if you're still there, you can't complain about what you tolerate. Where in your life might you be confusion? Where in your life might you be confusing ambition with assignment? Write that down too. Are you making decisions from peace, or are you making decisions from pressure? That's another question. What's one area of your life where God might be giving you the green light right now? Ask yourself that. And the last question, what would you do differently if you trusted his timing more than your emotions? Like I told y'all before, stop being emotionally led. Stop moving off of emotion. Moving off of emotion is going to cost you. Not just in relationships, it's going to cost you with everything that you do. You move off emotion. You don't move with no divine instruction. So I am done for tonight. Always take this live back to God. If you get convicted by anything that I said, I have done what I was supposed to do. Hopefully this word reaches who it's supposed to reach. And I will see y'all next week again at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. Talk to y'all later.